Some mornings start with chaos, storms outside, fog inside, and the last thing you want to do is move. But sometimes that is exactly when movement helps the most. This was me a couple of nights ago. The first big thunderstorm of the season hit the farm, lightning cracked over the massive granite rock that is beside the house from about 7 p.m. till 3 a.m. Beautiful, invigorating, and exceptionally impressive, but impossible to sleep through. That morning, I felt completely drained. Still, I rolled out my yoga mat and told myself just 10 minutes. Move and breathe. And that morning movement reminded me why it matters so much for us women in our 40s and 50s to do movement first thing in the morning. Welcome, my name is Nina. I'm a yoga teacher and a wellness coach. And in this video, we are going to look at 3 things today. Number 1, what the science says about moving early in the mornings. Number 2, what Ayurveda has been teaching for centuries and what it says about morning movement. And number 3, how to build that morning routine gently and easily into your current busy, hectic schedule. Because I know if you're like me, you probably have a schedule that looks like this. So let's begin with the science side of things. One of my favorite researchers to follow at the moment is Dr. Stacey Sims. She's a leading researcher on women's physiology, and she explains that our bodies follow daily hormonal rhythms. In the mornings, our cortisol spikes, so it naturally rises. This is its built-in alert system to wake us up and get us up for the morning. And when we add a few minutes of gentle movement before diving into our coffee, our to-do list, our emails, and all the other things that we need to do in our day to get ourselves started, by doing this a little bit of movement, it really helps us wake us up and for our body to know that, we're safe, we're alive, all is well. By doing just 5-10 minutes of breathing, of movement, you're supporting your whole system. You're finding that rhythm and saying, listen, you can slow down with the cortisol now. We're awake, we're safe, we're alive, and we can find that lovely natural rhythm of hormones starting to support us throughout the day. So think of your morning movement more like stepping onto the train when the train is already pulling out of the station, rather than trying to chase it down the platform. And remember that cortisol isn't inherently bad. It's our alert and mobilize hormone that really helps us stay alive. What is bad is that when we keep that cortisol really, really high and it becomes this chronic cortisol level, that then becomes the issue when we're not able to find this natural flow throughout our days, weeks, and our cycle to use the cortisol when it's meant to spike and then also allow it to drop down again. Another one of my favorite women to follow is Dr. von der Wright, an orthopedic surgeon and longevity researcher, and she calls muscle a longevity organ because muscle isn't just about strength or shape, it's really biologically alive. And when we move and we contract our muscles, it releases molecules called myokines. And these myokines talk to our brains, our bone, and our metabolism, helping really to steady our blood sugar, our mood, and therefore also our energy. And in perimenopause, estrogen begins to decline, and these muscle signals become even more important. And that's why everyone at the moment is on the bandwagon of talking about starting to lift heavy and really to use the muscles, not just so that we have more shape, but actually it helps us build strong bones, have more stable energy throughout the day, and keep our metabolism nice and steady. So gentle strength work, body weight work, your yoga, vary it up. All these movements first thing in the morning isn't about burning calories, which is what we've often been led to believe. It's really about waking up the chemistry of your body and using that to support you in your day ahead. All right, now let's flip the switch a little and let's move into the Ayurvedic perspective, the area that I really, really enjoy. And when we look through this lens of Ayurveda, this ancient wisdom, we hear the same truth, just in different words and explanations. And this might resonate with you or land with you a little bit better. According to Ayurveda, in the early hours from around about 2 a.m. till sunrise, so just say 6 a.m. for now, this is known as kind of like the Vata time of day, which is light, mobile, spontaneous energy. And if we rise just before the sunrise, so in the last phase of this Vata phase, we can use this lightness and this spontaneity to help wake us up and then get us up as well. Because what happens if we sleep past sunrise, so literally from sunrise till about 10 a.m. is known as the Kapha time of day. It's when the Kapha dosha takes over a little, and that is earth and water, where things are heavier, they're slower, it's more earthly, more grounded. So if we sleep into this phase, we pick up these qualities at that time, and that means that then we start the day feeling a lot more sluggish, we feel a lot heavier, and these feelings tend to stay with us physically and emotionally throughout the day. So this is why a few minutes of gentle movement, stretching, breath work, walking breaks that inertia, maybe even doing your gym workout or exercise. It clears the lymph, it wakes up the digestion, and it really opens up the lungs. And in Ayurveda, we say that it helps to clear the ama, or that toxic residue that builds up over the night from the previous day. And so what we want to do is we want to clear yesterday's stagnation so that we can start today on a nice, fresh, clean slate. We've all done it. We've all had rough nights. We've all hit that snooze button many times and thinking that we'll feel better, but this rarely helps. Occasionally it does. But most times we actually feel worse off when we lie in bed half awake, just reminiscing or trying to fall asleep instead of actually just getting up. And often what I'll suggest to my clients is, hey, if you're in this phase, even if it's before your wake up time, just get up. Go and do your morning routine, maybe spend a few more minutes doing meditation, maybe enjoy an extra 15 minutes doing your movement practice in the morning. And then later in the day, after lunch, maybe go do 20 minutes of yoga nidra, the practice of yogic deep sleep, just getting that rest in. And you'll be amazed at how much more energy you have by just doing the simple practice of yoga nidra later in the afternoon. So while in the West, we talk about hormones and cortisol, Ayurveda talks about doshas and prana. Both describe the same thing, just using slightly different vocabulary. Now, for me personally, in my 20s and 30s, mornings were always a rush. I'd often skip movement because I believed it had to be at least an hour long or something kind of like perfect or ideal. And I'd often tell myself, teaching yoga later in the day or that evening would count as my daily practice. And some weeks I had a really good rhythm where I was up in the morning and doing practices, but it slipped so easily when I did find a good rhythm. And when work got busy, when I traveled a lot, or when I simply didn't feel well enough to show up on my mat, it was okay. I could get through it. Now, in my 40s, I see my mornings very, very differently. My mornings are no longer about performance or perfection. They're just about a partnership with my body and understanding what my body's needing to find that good, healthy, natural rhythm so that I can start building what I need for the long-term benefits, for the longevity. So most mornings are a mix of walking, just to clear my head, to see the sunrise, to get the light in, 10 minutes of yoga just to get a little bit of movement and stretching. And then I really am enjoying doing some weightlifting, lifting some heavy weights, or if I can bring myself to it, and it's only once a week at the moment because I really dislike it, is doing a short HIIT or a sprint interval training session. This is something new to me. I do not enjoy it, but I do try to do it at least once a week. And after last night's storm, showing up on my mat for some yoga didn't erase that fatigue, but it gave me a clearer, steadier baseline to start my day. And that small window of movement reminded me that the body often knows what it needs long before the mind catches up. And so if we give ourselves that little bit of pause, just listening to what the body's needing, giving it that, opening up, then we are already ahead of the game and we can ensure that we have a nice, smooth transition into the day. So here's what I want you to take away from this video. Even 10 minutes, if that's all you can spare, is enough to start with. You're not training for the Olympics, you are tuning your own system. And remember, you really want to just try and move before you consume your coffee. If you can, just get yourself going. Use that to wake you up. Gentle counts. If you didn't sleep well, or if you're low on energy, or in a different phase of your cycle, lighter movement, like a little bit of yoga, a gentle walk, count. It doesn't have to be a strong training every single day. Vary it up, check in on how you're feeling, where you're at, and just move. When energy is high, add something a little bit more, like your resistance training or a short HIIT or sprint interval training burst. It's less about doing more, but more about meeting yourself where you are at. And then finally, morning movement isn't about perfection, it's about commitment to yourself. Showing up for yourself, even just briefly, builds that really quiet confidence in yourself. So tomorrow, before that first sip of tea or coffee, roll out your mat, put on your shoes, dust off the weights, breathe, and notice how it changes how you feel throughout the day. And in the next video, I'll show you exactly what my current morning routine looks like at 44, realistic, varied, and completely cycle aware. So if you're brave enough, you can always let me know in the comments what kind of movement helps you stay grounded in the morning. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.